No counter. All right. So first things first. Do you want to do commentary? That's the first question. Like, when they asked you to do it, did you want to do it, or were you just like, I guess? Because you can't be like, I guess, because if you do commentary, it eats up like 2 hours, 3 hours of your time. I guess it would be fun. So I guess you want to try it out, but you feel like you're not qualified. What region are you in, if you don't mind me asking? If you don't want to answer, that's cool. That's fine. Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Let me think. Ontario. You could help out. Like, let's say if they need another person, you could be there, so it's fine. So, also, what's it called? It's Ontario streams pretty regularly, if I'm not mistaken. Rakir force feeding me knowledge. You keep regurgitating it back out. Oh, okay, all right. Rakir's a good teacher, but I think I guess he assumed that you knew enough about the game. I'm not sure. So I think what you could do is like, don't know, mechanics. This should be a training. So like, your best bet would be to like go in the training mode and mess with stuff. So it's like, you know, Moondrive. When you're at half, your Moondrive drains faster. Like, I don't know if most people know that. I feel like people don't know that. So half Moondrive, it drains faster. Look how fast that goes. See, it's just going. And when you're at full, it drains real slow. So this is half. Let's go to full. At full. As long as you don't burn moon skills, this drains super slow. But if you burn a moon skill, it eats a chunk of that. But even then, you can do like a bunch of these when you have it full. But when you're at half, it's like 1, 2, 3. That's like it. If it doesn't clash. High shield, low shield. High shield beats any jump in. It shields any jump in and any mid hitting move. Low shield shields lows and most mids. You know, high shield loses to 2As. It loses to every low. Low shield loses to every overhead. And charge mids. So if you have a charge mid, it loses to that. GG, that was the delay. What's up, GG? What's other mechanic? There's 2 types of heat. 2? 3? I wish I had gray health. Fuck, I can't show gray health properly. So heat, that's quick heat if you're not blocking anything. It's held heat if you're not blocking anything. It's canceling 285 in shield and OS. It is, yes. Technically this is. Like, if you think someone's gonna do like an invincible reversal, you could do that. But most people do this as a way to show it. So I will show it in each instance. Force release, EXDP. Are those the best options for her? I think so. Okay. Semi-throw? Where's my fucking option select? What? Can I never do it with her? There we go. Well, you're supposed to do 2A plus D. So the way this works, inputs, yeah, my inputs, cool. Let's my inputs real quick. When it works, I'm just timing this. So you see how I do 2A, 2AD? There's another input I'm supposed to show here. Off, okay. So. Oops. So the idea here is the inputs you see here. So you do 2A and then you tap your throw button. So you do 2A and you hold down and you press your throw button. So what happens is you get, normally you would get throw, right? But because you're doing 2A, well, normally because the game reads your next 2A, well, sorry, the game reads your next input as a shield input, not as another 2A. The D takes priority. The shield takes priority. as opposed to it being a throw. But if it hits, it's a normal hit. Same thing with block. Block or hit, that'll come out. So yeah, it's strong. So like when you knock people down and you think they're gonna do some sort of reversal, you just do this. Well, if you time it correctly and you're not bad like me. See? If they do any invincible reversal or anything that removes them from the screen, you'll always get that. Sometimes it's not good to get this because sometimes they'll backdash and you know they get out of your pressure. But that's a different issue. The simplest layer of option select in this game is knock someone down, run up, do that. If it hits, you get a combo. However, if it does not hit, if I did it correctly, there you go. That's like the basic layer to fight invincible reversals. The next thing on Wake Up is like Moondrive, right? Like you'll Moondrive and Wake Up, but you're -2 when you Moondrive and Wake Up. Actually, someone type in... Fuck. What was that command that I have? Someone type in !! Moondrive? Maybe that's the command I have? Or is it Goseta? It might be Goseta. ! Goseta. Do I still have the command? Let's move bot. Looking at my commands. It is Goseta. Yep. So. Oops. Goseta. That video will take you to an explanation about Moondrives. So you can watch that video and you can educate yourself a little bit more about Moondrive. I would go into it more, but I don't want to overload you. I just want to do like simple stuff. So like, if you're doing commentary, like someone like Rakir, he's pretty good because he knows the game pretty in depth, to a pretty decent level. But it can be kind of scary because like you don't need to be qualified to do commentary. I'll say this right now. You don't really need to be qualified. Especially if it's your local. If it's your local, you don't need to be qualified. You're there having fun, talking shit with your friends, being like, hey, you did Wake Up DP, or hey, you got baited, hey, you got beat up, like, haha. Or you just talk about like random stuff with people in the chat, or like you just say stuff that's happening, you know? At the high level gameplay. Oh, high level gameplay is how do I explain this? High level gameplay is, so sometimes there's decisions being made that are really, really strong, but usually you can just boil it down to like a lot of stuff. You can boil down to just like people thinking like what you see on the screen. You just try to assume some stuff. Like you'll learn the process of how high level players interact with each other the more you watch them, if that's what you want to do. So if you want to, you know, be a little bit more informed, you watch like higher level matches and you'll kind of figure out like, hey, why did this person do like this on Wake Up? Why did they do this combo? Why did they try to like, you know, bait this thing that this other person did? You get that experience when you watch more matches. So it's something that comes to you over time. It's not something you'll learn like immediately, right? Like you'll learn as you go, as you commentate, because you'll be like, oh, I like watching the game. So if you like watching the game, you will passively learn some stuff, or you'll passively pick up on habits that people like to do a lot. So it's important that if you're just, you know, doing this for fun, you just remember at the end of the day, it's for fun. You don't want to stress yourself to be like, oh, I need to know how to commentate everything at the highest level. You worry about that later. Just worry about having fun, and you will passively learn everything. You'll passively learn most things that you need to learn about the game. But yeah, you'll learn. Yeah, like if you're having fun mashing, that's fine. Like there's nothing saying that you shouldn't be allowed to have fun mashing. Like that's like the most important thing about playing anything, not just fighting games, anything. If if playing fighting games is not fun to you in any aspect, you should probably stop playing fighting games. I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about in general. Like this is more general type thing. It's if because there's a lot of people who want to play something that has some sort of uh like there's people who when they play something they're just like they want deep insight when it's like as long as you're able to like hmm. Oh wait, Jusichi said it correctly. You just say you just say what you're doing. So if you tell the audience like, hey, I'm kind of new to this game, I'm not really sure what's going on, or I'm not like I kind of know what's going on, but not really. The audience will sympathize with you, and they'll say, oh, okay, you know, this person's new. They might give you information that's correct. They also might give you information that's wrong because it's Twitch chat. But your co-commentators should also help you out with that. Like if it's Rakir or someone else in your region, they might help. You just if it's someone like Rakir, you give Rakir questions. You tell Rakir like, hey, why'd they do this? You know, because maybe somebody in chat wants to ask that question, but they don't want someone else to say that, you know, to say Keck W or some dumb shit. So that's what your job would be if you don't know what's going on that well. You would ask your co-commentator like, hey, why did you do this? Or hey, what's that interaction like? And they will explain the best they can. So that could be your job. Your job could be the person who says what's on the screen and what you think is going on. But if you're not sure of something, you just ask it as a question. Yeah, use your partner. You say like, hey, I'm not sure why they popped Moondrive there. Well, Rakir, what do you think? And Rakir will probably like be like, okay, they did it because of this, or they do it because of this stuff. It's like, I think for you, Envy, I think at the level that you're at right now, you should be fine. You're usually solo. Fuck, that's rough. That's rough if you're new. If you're new, that's really rough because you have no idea like what your direction could be. Usually solo. You tell the audience that you're still new to like analyzing the well, not analyzing, to saying what's on the screen. You tell them you're still new. Like you just say like, hey, you know, I'm kind of nervous. Also, it's okay to say you're nervous. Like, don't be afraid to say you're nervous. Like it's fine. Also, what Jusichi said, you can pose rhetorical questions. You'd be like, I wonder why they did that. Like you say it like, I wonder why they did that, you know? And like if you say it in the right tone, it'll get across to the audience. Yeah, people who are watching, like you're kind of talking to them. Like they will respond to you in some form or fashion, or they will like, or they're definitely listen to you unless they mute you, which most people do depending on who's commentating. I feel like nowadays a lot of people still mute because a lot of people don't want to hear commentary. They just want to hear game noise. Like they want to hear the music and the characters fighting. But there's a bunch of other people who also want to hear commentary because they're like, oh, I wonder what this game's like. The commentator will teach me about the game. You know? That's usually at bigger events, but... But I think you, as a beginner, I feel like you'll be fine. Yeah, I think you'll be fine. You'll be okay. Like, it's gonna be kind of weird, but in the beginning, but if you like doing it, you should be okay. Like, it's okay to tell the audience you might be nervous too, especially if it's people you know in chat. Like, if you tell them you're nervous, it'll be okay. And people will understand, because people... Holy shit, what? People... That seems like a bug, holy fuck. People... I feel like more people nowadays are okay with expressing the fact that they have anxiety. So as long as like you say something like, oh, you know, kind of nervous, people will be like, oh no, we got you, if they're helpful. And if people are being jerks in chat, you have the person who's running the stream who will ban people. So you got that going for you. But it is understandable if like you're worried. Like you don't need to be like I feel like you don't need to be 100% qualified to do commentary as long as you're willing to like give it a try, because giving commentary a try is it's almost as hard as playing fighting games. I think it's harder. No, it's harder. Doing commentary for fighting games is harder than playing them, because in some aspect you already have to have played fighting games to a pretty good degree, and you have to understand a lot of the process when you get to a higher level of commentary and match watching. Can't do teach. If you can't do it, teach, you commentate. Technically, when you commentate, you're teaching. Technically, technically. Like me, I don't really enter in tournaments that much, but I just like mash net play and try to learn as I go. But I just like doing commentary because I feel like I was getting. I thought I was having fun with it. Then I thought I was bad for a long time, and then I finally got good somewhere, and I don't know where that was. I don't know where it was I got good, but I realized it, and I was like, hey, I'm doing good. Let me just keep working hard, you know? But it's hard, though. For me, it's hard. For other people, it's easy. But I have things about that. But, if you decide to take commentary seriously, there's a bunch of people who are willing to help you. Like, they can help field, like, the way you talk. Well, not the way you talk. They can help field the direction of your energy to figure out what to do. So you don't have to worry about it too much. But yeah, talking to people is hard. don't worry about that. Talking to people is very hard. I usually tell people if you're not comfortable with something, you shouldn't have to do it. Because doing something you're not comfortable with is not fun. That shit is not fun at all. Like, you could want to help, but if it's detrimental to you, then you shouldn't do it. Because your well-being is the most important thing that you have right now, especially with a lot of stuff that's going on in the world. Unfortunately, your well-being is pretty important, so you can like continue your day to day. So anything that, you know, I would say hinders that, you should, you know, you can make your life a little bit easier, because people are usually pretty understanding nowadays. Yeah, as long as no one's giving you grief, that's fine. It's good. Because you, as a new person doing commentary, it's hard because you have no idea what to expect. Especially if you heard other people do it, you're like, oh man, they sound like they're pretty intelligent. When most times most people doing commentary, there's a lot of people I think are not good because they haven't improved. I will usually give people like I'll give them time before I think they should be able to grow. But if people are not practicing their craft, it's very apparent when a lot of people are not good. But that's my opinion. Like, if you're doing it for fun, it's okay if you don't hold your craft. You're having fun. If you're trying to be taken seriously, then you need to hone your craft. And I feel like a lot of people don't do that. But that's me. That's just another issue I have with a lot of people who do commentaries at events nowadays. So don't listen to me. Listen to me at your discretion. I'm toxic, okay? I'm toxic. I'm pretty toxic. Toxic? Wait, isn't there a thing for that? Hold on, there's a thing for that. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's not working? Alright, hold on, I'm gonna fix this.
Sorry for being toxic! Bye!
There we go. Thank God that works. Thank God that works. Alright, cool. Fucking love Allura, she's so funny. But yeah, I'm toxic. There's a bunch of other people. He doesn't sound sorry. That's why it's funny. But yeah, I think, I don't know, I would really like to talk to people who I would like to talk to people, because I feel like a lot of people have questions about commentary, and I like to answer that stuff, at least from my point of view. So I'd like to do that in a stream, or a couple streams, but it's hard to get people to be here for this, because it's like, hey, everybody get here. We're talking about commentary. Let's talk about this, you know? I feel like it's that does not drain fast enough. Yeah, it does not drain fast enough. Oh, hold on. 226. That is faster. The drain is faster than the gain. Maybe you should. They both should be slower. Anyway, but yeah, I typically will tell people like, hey, if you're trying to get into commentary, you don't need another person at the beginning. Just watch on your own. Watch matches. So like, here's a good example. Hey, there we go. So on your own, what I tell people is like, when nobody else has to be around, you could just like, you don't have to be streaming, although it does help, but I would say you just watch like as you're watching, you just be like, oh, he did, you know, I wonder why he did DP here. And like sometimes you can like, you pause, you go back, and you like try to make sure you see what's going on there, and you'll be like, okay, they did this because of this, or they probably did this because of this. And as you practice that over time, as you watch stuff over time and you do that, you'll be able to do it a lot quicker as it's happening live, so you never have to pause. So that way when you sit down in front of a stream, you can just be like, oh, that's why they did this. Excuse me. Like, I don't, if you want earlier, like, you can rewatch this VOD later. I watched a team tournament, and I essentially did like pseudo commentary for it, but I got distracted by dumb stuff. But you get the idea. I kind of did commentary for it because I talked about like how it go, like how pacing goes, decisions being made, you know, like what happens in match, double overhead, keeping pressure, trying to bait heat, trying to bait a moon skill. Taka doesn't know what to do. He finally jumps out. Hey, all right, there's blood heat. Oh, God, don't interact with the blood heat. Thank you. All right, plus frames. Hold that. Stay over there. Thank you. That little shield scary. All right, good reactionary shit. Whoa! Oh yeah, he did that. Yeah, I remember watching that the first time. That orb placement was mad random. Plus frames. Plus frames. Double overhead. No. Overhead. Back away. Don't need to be near the orb. You are losing. Nah, you're not losing anymore. Anti-air. I don't know why he didn't do EX laser. He actually would have been able to kill that time. He just did it again, right? He did that yesterday. No. Yeah, he probably tried to jump. Rip. Yeah, like that right there. Like what I just did is kind of like what I normally do on stream if I'm watching like high-level match videos. It's like I've been around the game for so long, I kind of just understand most of what's happening. Not everything. Like sometimes I will get interactions wrong, or I'm still guessing on what's happening with interactions. So it's like, yeah, play-by-plays are fine. I think they're good. Yeah, you just gotta like you gotta figure out kind of what you want to do. You don't have to like be too harsh on yourself if you get something wrong, but it's important that you give yourself some room to grow, especially if you're new or you're trying to like again, you're trying to improve. You have to give yourself some leeway. You can't just call yourself bad all the time, because that's actually harmful for your progress, because your progress is tied to your ability to accept the fact that you're not going to, that you might be incorrect in different junctures, and it's okay to be incorrect as long as you're willing to figure out what's the higher angle, you know. So that's why I normally tell people that it's okay to, you know, not get everything right all the time right away. It's okay if stuff is like not instantly correct. Like you ask questions. Asking questions is also the most important thing about trying to get better. Like if you ask questions, you have other people to help back you up to decide what to do. So it's like if someone tells you like, hey,
Oh, because Fox is fucking godlike, bro. Fox is really good, man. Don't sleep. That guy's amazing. Oh.
Euripy. Irepi 199. Thank you for all. What's up? Sorry if I butchered your name. I apologize. I have no idea how to pronounce that. But I do think commentary is. I think commentary is easy and hard at the same time. If you do it for long enough, you get into a groove of whatever fighting game that you're interested in. You know how to commentate it to a degree, and depending how serious you take it, you could be really good at it, and you could help carry people, or you could be okay at it, but you could still provide the foil that your co-commentator needs. Foil in a good sense, I guess. Yeah, in a good sense. But it's I think a lot of people really should be okay with asking questions about like, hey, listen to this, or hey, what do you think about this? Like asking questions is the easiest way to help your colleagues improve. Because sometimes maybe they'll ask a question you hadn't thought about, but you know the answer to it anyway. So that could be one thing, but it's I do think it's important that people understand that if you do commentary for fun and you see other people who are like seasoned veterans or on the big stage, that you understand that they had to do this for a long time, quote unquote long time. I don't want to say long time like, oh, you have to be doing this for 10 years. No, as long as you're consistent and people like what you're doing, you could be up there within like a year, 2 years. You could be on the big stage. Just, gotta work. Gotta make sure you're good. If you get good fast, then it's fine. I don't think there's any issue with trying to speed up the process and figuring out what you should be working on, who you could be talking to. But it's hard because the philosophical implications of commentating fighting games. Yeah, because fighting games are, at the end of the day, a lot of stuff is subjective. Like decisions that are made in fighting games are really subjective. It's like someone might do EXDP because they thought a gap was coming, or they're like, I don't want to. Like the decisions to do EXDP on wake up, and a lot of times is either I thought they were going to do a bad timed Oki. They were going to jump, so they weren't going to shield it in time. They're trying to bait another option I want to do, and EXDP baits that bait. I just don't want to block anymore. That's another option. There's like 4 options I just gave you, right? And none of them are the right one, because it's like, yeah, any of these things could work in any given situation, but the end goal that happens is, like, let's say it gets baited, right? Oops. If this gets baited and you get knocked down again, then it's like, oh, he shouldn't have done that, right? Because he got knocked down. The idea should be, oh, that person got baited. Let's see if they'll decide to do something else or they'll do it again. That's kind of like, that's kind of like the path you take in changing up how you say things, because you don't want to give something 100% definitive if there could be different choices. So sometimes I will say stuff like, oh, doing wake up EXDP there's kind of risky, but it worked out. You say something like that because you give the audience some sort of guise that the decision they made isn't wrong, but there's risk involved in it. Because there's something else they could have done that might have been more or less risky. But they got out, so they're like, okay, maybe they'll show the other way to get out, or what else to do. Whereas sometimes with other situations, there might be a yes or no on something. Like you get a guaranteed punish on this thing because that's the way that like, when you shield the moon skill, like when you shield like this, you shield Akio 4 BC, then you're like, oh, okay, you get a free punish, but it depends. The punish now depends on, are you trying to, does the combo kill? Do you need meter? Do you want to use meter? Do you want to get life back? There's more decisions. Like, I know everything I just described in like the last 2 minutes is kind of maybe hefty, but that's kind of what goes through my head pretty frequently when I'm watching matches go live. That goes through my head and I have to pick something to say. So you learn how to do that at your own pace. I mean, I've been watching fighting games for a long time, so I can understand how to do it. It's like being neutral, I guess. Yeah, kind of. You don't want to. Usually, when you look at something that is not under your control, you don't want to be um you don't want to give a hard yes or no. You want to give people the idea that there's something else that could have been done, but you're not sure if they made the right call. You just say they made that decision. Them making that decision, like, oh, they, let's say someone does this and they die for it, right? Oh, they died for it, so they shouldn't have done it. It's like, no. The idea is they did this because they did this because they thought they wanted to either get out of pressure, they knew what the opponent was going to do that would get hit by that, or they hadn't done it yet, so it's a, a decent option that they haven't thought of yet. So again, I've given you three separate instances of decision making, right? None of them are right. Even though doing this and you died, you could be like, oh, they were probably looking for XYZ, and that's why they did that. But XYZ wasn't there. That doesn't mean they're still wrong. That just means that, like, they picked, well, technically they're wrong because they died, but they chose the wrong option. But it doesn't mean doing this is wrong. You get what you, yeah, exactly. See, like, doing this is not wrong. Like, you picked the wrong option, but doing this is not wrong, because there are people who say you should never do EXDP on Wake Up. Judging the decision just based on the outcome. Exactly, yeah, exactly what Tarkle said. You're not supposed to, just because this killed you, you're not supposed to say that was bad. You just say, oh, this person had a read on something, and based off of the evidence that they've gathered, they thought they thought that was a good option. That's it. That's all you go with. Because when people do commentary, they get stuck in the sense of, oh, that killed you, that was bad. When it should be, oh, that killed you, you picked the option because you thought something else would, like, save you or something. Like, you probably understand what I'm saying. I'm expanding on this pretty hard. I don't know if I'm dissuading you from wanting to do this. I don't want to do that. But yeah, I like commentary a lot. I think commentary is a really helpful tool for people who want to either get better at something, or they just enjoy another perspective of how stuff's supposed to go. The mindset is definitely explained to you. Okay, good. I'm always afraid that I'm not doing a good job at explaining stuff, because I feel like I have a poor I personally feel like I have a poor sense of explaining things. I don't know. It's weird. Because I'm trying my best to make it simple, because usually simple is the best way to convey your point, and then later on you can get into nuance if you want to go into, like, if you want to have a conversation with somebody, you can go into nuance. Nuance is really nice. I like nuance, but yeah, you have to not be overbearing. Like, being overbearing is kind of why I don't talk to a lot of people, because I think a lot of people are overbearing, and I don't want to, like, I'm just like, man, I'm tired. And then myself, I don't want to be overbearing when I'm talking to somebody, because I feel like if I talk to someone and I say, like, oh yeah, this happened, I feel like a lot of people don't want all that. So that's why I kind of, like, keep stuff simple as I can. And then if I get time to explain something with somebody and, go back and forth, then I'll go into a bit more. But usually I try to keep stuff simple. Unless I'm not having fun. If I'm having fun, it's like, don't care. Don't care. Just say what you want within the bounds of respecting the other person. Like, if you know the other person who's playing, then you can, you kind of have fun with it, but make sure you don't go too far, because that's another line you have to be careful about crossing. Because then if you get too personal, then people don't like that. Because that's the thing, you can get too personal and people just be like, hey, that was messed up. Don't do that. Whereas there are a lot of instances where people will say you should be able to say whatever and not worry about any consequences of, hey, you're kind of a jerk for no reason. Because, you can kind of be a jerk sometimes on commentary, but that's within the boundaries of knowing the other person, the other people who are playing. But that's another conversation for that. Yeah, I hope I didn't bore you with all this. I was just talking because I felt like if I play and talk, I'm definitely gonna lose focus. So just sit in training mode and look at two Akias and just call it a day there. Yeah. So yeah, you get it? Okay, that's good. I'm always worried that I'm not explaining stuff well. That's it. Because I feel like I've been told I should spend more time just talking about what my thought process is, but I also feel like that's very involved in a lot of instances. Like commentary, I feel like my commentary bias is really strong in certain situations. Like I feel like you should never say no in a lot of situations unless something is 100% guaranteed. But that's also different. Are people still here? I feel like I put everybody to sleep talking about bias. Yeah, like bias of, oh yeah, in players. Like, well, you can have bias in players. I think bias in players is kind of okay. I mean, bias like decisions, like never EXDP, never heat on wake up, that stuff. Like that's bias. My opinions, I'm okay with people like, yeah, bias in options. Yeah, it's like never heat, never EXDP on wake up, never moondrive on wake up. You got to present options sometimes when you're playing in tournament or in casuals or in sets. My opinions are. I obviously say what I form my opinions based off of information I have gathered, and I'm like, okay, I think XYZ, so you just go with that. All right, I assume you're all bored to death. You're all like, man, this person does not stop talking. But yeah, I felt like I needed to do that, or else I would not be getting my point across. Yeah, because I also have the game on mute. Because I'm just like, if the music's going, I'm definitely gonna lose that stuff. For a long, boring question, no, because like, there's a lot of people who like you who want to do commentary, but they don't have a good place to ask questions. Because asking questions is it's scary and it's difficult, right? It's scary because maybe you have social anxiety and you don't want to be told that whatever you're thinking is wrong, and that's not good, because social anxiety nowadays is at, I feel like, an all-time high. And two, asking questions is hard because you have to accept everyone's question in terms of how simple or how complex the question is. Because if somebody asks you a question, they say, "Oh, that was a dumb question," you have to say no. You need to ask the question, because if no one answers it, then you don't have an idea of what to do or how to move forward. The reason you ask questions is you want to figure out how to move forward and how to compile information on something, right? So that's why it's important that people ask questions, even though sometimes questions will have long explanations that, I don't know how long this one was, but I feel like a lot of people would want to ask this. But if one person says like, "Hey, what do you do to prepare for a tournament? How often do you watch matches by yourself? What do you look for in playstyle? How do you work with someone you've never worked before? How do you work with someone you've worked with for a long time? What's the longest break you had? What do you do after not hiatus, what is it? What happens if you burn out and you don't want to commentate for a while? Those are real questions, because all those things happen. All those things occur. So if somebody asks those questions, I guarantee you maybe somebody else in your vicinity has the same question. But yeah, I think fighting games are really cool.